Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm the host of the No BS Coaching Advice podcast here on Anchor.fm. If you've always wanted to start a podcast, Anchor makes it ridiculously easy to do it. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's completely free and ridiculously easy to use. I know I've used two other services. One was very expensive, like $700 a month expensive, until I realized I was getting hosed, and now it costs me much less, but it still costs me. Another service that's inexpensive, but it still costs me. Again, it's 100% free. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I do no BS coaching advice here, and it is a breeze. I can record on my laptop. I can record live off my phone. Again, very, very easy to use. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. This is the No BS Coaching Advice Podcast, episode 147. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. I'd like to spend some time weekly talking with you about some aspect of life, the universe, everything, and just try and bring some thoughts to your consciousness as you start your work week or whenever you listen to the show. Maybe it's during the week and you just roll into it later on. That's okay. It's just some thinking that may provoke behavioral change. And, I was listening to and talking to some folks this weekend and listening to some folks who frankly are in tough situations where they're in jobs where no one learns anything after a while. It's been years since they've done anything new. It's robotic work to them. And there's no training, no opportunities for advancement. There's no evidence of it. It's not like they're the bad before. Let's try that again. It's not like they're a bad performer. It's just no one in their area, as hard as they work, seems to ever move ahead. Is that the way it is for you, or is that the case at your company? Do you like that? Do you want to move ahead? Do you want to learn something new? And if you're a manager, why are you tolerating this for your people? Eventually, what starts to happen is like a professional necrosis. It becomes so stagnant for folks. They're machines. And machines make mistakes. They break, right? And there are ways to do things differently. There are opportunities, even if you're in an outpost of your firm, where you can recommend someone have an advancement opportunity, training, opportunities to learn new things. And if you're on staff, ask for it. It's hard, I know. And fear may crop up. But the reality is you're dying a slow death. You are dying a slow death. It's eating you up from the inside. And it happens so gradually, you don't even realize it. If you're in situations like this, as I said to my friends, and I don't coach my friends, I just talk to them. So what I said to them is, you've got to change this. I don't care if it's within this firm or outside of this firm. You got to get to a place where you're asked to think again, where you're asked to share your ideas, thoughts, concerns, learn new things, get promoted, get an atta-girl, atta-boy. It doesn't matter what it is. Just have an opportunity to move ahead and try something new. What are you waiting for, folks? Seriously, what are you waiting for? I was sent a copy of a book written by Rachel M. Stewart, Stewart, called Unqualified Success. I'm going to try and have her on the show, but in the meantime, as I was reading it, she had a wonderful metaphor that I thought I would share with you. And it's the notion of how you deal with fear. After all, fear tends to be a companion with us on our journey, right? It kind of stalls you, slows you down, creates detours, all that sort of stuff. And I'll simply say, using the metaphor that she uses in her book, it's a passenger. It rides along with us on the journey. The question is whether you let it drive you or not, whether you let it drive the car on your journey. If you let it drive, it's going to take you all over the place and you're never going to have the opportunity to move ahead. But the fact is, if you let it be a passenger, it's just another thing that you take with you, like your knowledge, like your care and concern for others. And I mention this because as you deal with some of the professional challenges that you face, fear is going to show up, right? You're going to be afraid to ask for that raise. You're going to be afraid to ask for that promotion, that training you want, that course that you want to take. And if you let it drive you, if you don't stand up for what you're afraid of and believe that you deserve, you're letting it run you. Is that really how you want to live your life? So what's the goal that you have? What are you trying to accomplish? Is it a daily, weekly, annual goal? What is it? What's your fear? When you think of this fear, what action or inaction do you take? What results do you get from that action? What does it give you? Now, here's the fun thing. What you need to do is take action regardless. Basically say to yourself, I'm going to fill in the blank and I'm taking fear with me. And figure out something specific that you can do towards your goal for the next 30 days and keep doing it. When fear shows up, don't be surprised. It's going along with you for the ride, but you're in control. You're the driver here. Every time fear wants to pipe up and offer suggestions about turning around or giving up, just stay in the present moment. Just do that one day at a time for 30 days. You start triggering new behaviors. And again, that's from Rachel Stewart. Isn't that lovely? I really adore that suggestion from her. Stress test your thinking. I want to repeat that. Stress test your thinking. A lot of people go into things, they've never really asked anyone else what they think or gotten any input from others before diving into the deep end of the pool, and they've never learned how to swim. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. But what don't you know? One of the fun things that you start to do when you start stress testing your idea is you start to see your blind spots so that others have a perspective on things that you may not. Now, I'm not talking about their fears. Look for facts there. Look for information that you don't have that might be useful for you to know. I remember years ago, I made a very difficult but correct decision about a weekend workshop I was running and who might attend. And there was a lot of controversy around that. I'm not going to go into the details. It's not important. But a friend of mine who was part of that town or part of the city where I was going to be running the workshop called me up to ask me if I had considered a particular detail. And I hadn't. And I suggested that he or someone else reach out to the parties that were involved and see what they thought about my decision. They were on board with it, but it was a blind spot that I had that might have affected others. You yourself may have blind spots. You may not see everything that needs to be seen. Don't hesitate to ask others for input. This way, it minimizes your risk and helps you get to really where you want. So that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to the show. Just subscribe so you get downloads whenever I release a new episode. Each show is going to be bite-sized morsels of advice just like today's. I hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you subscribe. And if you do choose to subscribe, I hope you decide to support the show. There's a link that will take you to anchor.fm where you can make a pledge in support of the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in my coaching you, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you listen to the show. I just happen to like knowing I'm helping some folks. And once we're connected, message me about your interest in coaching. We'll set up a free call. We'll get acquainted, see if it makes sense. I'll be back soon with more. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Time for the